Hello, and welcome to Around the Political World with John Ruffman. I am your host, John Ruffman. If you're a fan of the show, make sure to hit the follow button on the top right of Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you are listening at this very moment. When you hit follow, leave a review or share an episode with a friend. It helps other people discover the show, keeps us going, and as I like to point out each and every day, it expands our base. Attack, deny. This is the attitude of the Trump administration. I had a call from a loyal listener. Michael, I'm addressing this to you. You ask, where did Trump get the idea for this kind of an attack? And the answer, you answered yourself. The answer is from Roy Cohn. Roy Cohn was Joe McCarthy's attorney of record. And it was Roy Cohn who helped McCarthy during that period of our history known as the McCarthy period, where smear and innuendo and denial and attack were part of the package. What Donald Trump is doing on every level is to attack, deny, and to blame others for error. That is the Donald Trump method. Why do I begin with this? Because you're seeing it now unfold in the scandal over security at the Defense Department. It's everybody else's fault. There is no fault with the people who Trump put in charge of national intelligence. Rubbish, I say. We must be clear. It is not just this issue about which Donald Trump is obfuscating and denying and, claiming it was perfect. It has to do with a whole host of issues, including the government cuts that are taking place right now. Yes, indeed, Elon Musk again, who has no power, no authority, except that vested in him by the President of the United States. Therefore, what Elon Musk does must be credited to Donald J. Trump. We are seeing departments of our government gutted. We are seeing health and human services cut back. We are seeing attack taking place on Social Security. We are seeing an attack taking place on NOAA, basic weather services. We are seeing an attack leveled against basic government services. There is something seriously wrong here when there seems to be a passivity, a lack of willingness to fight back. Michael asked me directly in the message he left me, what can we do? We must hope that the courts really take on Donald Trump. That's right, directly. And that ultimately, the Supreme Court rules on these questions. There are two justices of the United States Supreme Court in whom all of our concerns, all of our upset, all of our hope for better times ahead rest. They are the Chief Justice, John Roberts, and Associate Justice Amy Coney Barrett. With those two, voting with the three liberals, who most assuredly will vote against what Trump is doing, a 5-4 majority will be able to determine the fate of judgments by the court. Now comes the most fundamental question of all. As the president continues to attack judges by name, as the president continues to back members that he has appointed in the defense establishment, and as he says unhesitatingly, it is a fraud, a witch hunt. Well, it is up to the courts now to react with great vigor. And when you hear the Speaker of the House of Representatives talk about banning the federal district courts, after all, he says, they were not created by the Constitution, and therefore we can eliminate them. When you stop and think of the heavy hand of tyranny, well, that's what we now face. There is a fundamental question, and it was raised to me by someone for whom I have a very high regard. Are we in danger of losing democracy in America? And the answer is, not as long as you and I have breath. We must battle back. We must take advantage of every court. We must take advantage of every forum. We must call out Donald Trump whenever he pulls these kinds of egregious actions. And most assuredly, when I listened to the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, invoke a situation, an obscure law, which gives him the power to determine, well, whether or not sedition is taking place, whether or not he can silence free speech. Look at what is happening today in the United States of America, where students with whom you may or may not disagree are stopped from speaking out by federal agents, masked federal agents, who stop them on the streets and then send them not to court but all the way to New Mexico or some other place so that they have no contact with their potential legal defenders. No, this is un-American. It is wrong. There is talk about what is happening on the campus. I have spent years on the campus. Across this country, I have spoken on over 150 campuses, universities, colleges. I have spoken out in favor of free speech, sometimes saying things which some might disagree with, but my ability to speak has never been challenged, nor should it be challenged by those who are here on student visas and who may or may not be people with whom I agree. We have nothing to fear from freedom of speech. Do you understand that what Donald Trump and his administration are now doing hurt the very essence of who we are as a nation? No, my friends, enough is enough. There must be a resounding repudiation by Democrats and Republicans alike. And where are the voices of those who will stand up and speak out? Well, we have to seek them out, because evidently there is a fear abroad in the land, a fear of retribution and retaliation, something that Donald Trump seems to relish. Now, some of you who are listening to me say, John, you suffer from Trump derangement syndrome. Nonsense. I suffer from a belief in American democracy. I suffer from a belief that we need to stand up loud and clear and speak out when this administration, as they did yesterday in the halls of Congress, attack the media, NPR, public radio. They go after the ability of free speech and the use of our airwaves, whether it is liberals or conservatives. Well, that upsets me. And believe me, if the conservatives like Sean Hannity and Mark Levin were being funded by the federal government, I would cry out for their right to speak as well. I listen to NPR. I listen to public radio. I like to hear their features. I like to learn from them. Can you imagine? Not only are professors and students being stopped on the campuses, but now a very attack on our ability to hear diverse opinions is being attacked. Yes, indeed. These are grave times, times when we must stand firm and tall and do everything in our power to stop, yes, stop what is happening in Washington. These attacks on our basic civil liberties, these attacks on all of us, well, we must resist. I have not even touched today on what is happening in Greenland, or what may happen in Panama, or what may happen in Canada. I am not today addressing major foreign policy issues, although just last night I sat with a young woman who was originally from Ukraine, who understands vividly what free speech means and what aggression and backing aggression can mean. If, my friends, I sound harsh, it is because I believe in the American system. I believe it. And the other day I talked with Mark Thompson on his podcast, and some of you listened to Mark Thompson's podcast. And he and I went around on the question of whether we have the ability to fight back, whether the American system can work. And I suggested to Mark in the strongest possible terms that I believe that we must resist. We must fight back. We must use every legal vehicle at our disposal in order to restore the American democratic system to balance. I believe very strongly that what I have said is true, and I believe it will become truer and truer as the days go by, as we watch Donald Trump and his administration defy on so many levels who we are as a people. Make no mistake, As long as I have breath, and as long as you care, Donald Trump cannot triumph. He may win temporary victories, but I believe firmly that the courts and the people will speak out, that we will, in the end, restore the balance to American democracy that we so need. I will not bow to fear, intimidation, and denial, and nor should you. That's my lesson as we approach the weekend, and heaven only knows what we will encounter come Monday. But I will tell you this, as long as I have a voice, and as long as you have a voice, we will speak out. We will demand that the American system be restored, and we will fight against those, legally fight against those who would deny the very basics of American liberty. Thanks for tuning into another episode of Around the Political World with John Rothman. Make sure to follow along. Let me know your thoughts on the show by leaving a review on Apple Podcasts and sharing an episode with a friend or colleague so we can continue to grow and expand. That is our goal. You can interact with me on Facebook, on LinkedIn, and I am happy to respond, as I have today, to your inquiries, and I'm glad to do it in this forum. I want to say a special word of thanks to Gogo Zoger, who is the producer of this podcast. Gogo, thank you for what you do every single day. Together, we will continue to struggle so that voices can be heard, and so Around the Political World with John Rothman will continue to voice that basic truth. I am John Rothman, and I will see you, I know, next week. In the meantime, have a wonderful weekend. Do make sure to follow along. Please make sure to let me know your thoughts. Please pass on an episode so others will discover Around the Political World with John Rothman. Have a great weekend.